in Pretoria. And as Paul has said, we have started the month of March. And today's session is going to be about joint health. Since Paul has told us that from the month of March is when the business starts to run, I think this is a good topic for us to start with so that our joints are in good condition for the sprint we are going to have from here until we reach those goals that we are aiming for. So as I said, joint health, and I think we had this session sometime last year. And it is an important one, not only because we've got good products to support joint health, but also because joints are a part of our health that we benefit from every day. Every minute of every day, we appreciate the fact that we are able to move. And in fact, I was thinking to myself today when I was preparing the session, that maybe if we had to rent our bodies the way we have to rent an office, or we have to rent maybe to hire a car, if we needed to rent our bodies, maybe we would take better care of our joints and our health more than what we do. We are born with our bodies and we learn how to walk when we are small, and we take it for granted that it's just a natural thing. But I think as you grow older, maybe the stage of life I'm in, and people older than myself, we start to appreciate that it's not something to be taken for granted, because if we don't take care of our joints, our capacity to move and our capacity to operate is going to be limited. So with that in mind, I think that this is a good session for us to go into, not only for our clients that we've come across, but also for taking care of our own selves, because we need to be able to move and get around in order for us to do our business and to fulfill our responsibilities in the world. So our joints are not actually supposed to break down and stop working at a certain point. They are supposed to have a lifetime guarantee that they will work for years and years to come, because they are self-cleaning, self-repairing. They are supposed to be able to go on year in, year out. Unfortunately, there are certain things that undermine our ability to keep our joints operating well, and we'll go into some of them just now. In fact, I think I also mentioned this last time, that one of the dangers, I'm hoping, of course, I'm sure there are some new people who are hearing some of this for the first time. And I remember saying last year that we start getting trained for things that undermine our joint health from very young. And for example, think about when we were in school, we were expected to sit down for long periods and pay attention to the teacher, and the good children were the ones who sat quietly in their chairs until the school day ended. And of course, we started learning that it is good to sit quietly and do our work without moving about. Unfortunately, although this is convenient for the teacher at school, it is not good for us to remain seated for such long periods of time. And this is one of the dangers that has now been identified as the biggest cause of some of our joint problems. So for example, one of the commonest problems is pain in our lower back. And this is very much connected to sitting for long periods, which leads to our leg muscles becoming weak, especially our thigh and buttock muscles. These are the biggest muscles in our bodies. And if we don't use them, because when we are sitting down, we are actually not using them, they grow weaker and weaker, which means that now our back has to do work which is supposed to be for our leg muscles, our thigh and buttock muscles. And that causes instability and pain to our lower back. And that is why very many of the doctors and medical practitioners will say that back problems are very, very common. So for that reason, the first thing we must speak about is the importance of incorporating movement in our daily life. And here I'm not saying simply that we should join a gym. As always, I always say, yes, if it is a possibility for you, it's good to join a gym. But for many of us, it might not be feasible for us to do that. Still, we need to find a way of incorporating movement in our lives. That means where we are able to go for a walk, we should go for a walk. Where we are able to do our chores, either standing or walking, we should do so. Where we can put in a little bit of sport or exercise, we should do so. So rather than thinking that I'm going to wait until I can join a gym or when I have time to exercise is when I'll do it, it is found to be more beneficial to try to look for ways to incorporate movements in our ordinary everyday life. That way, if we don't have a lot of time, we still are able to incorporate movements and prevent the damage that is caused by long periods of sitting. Of course, sitting is convenient, and today think about the many things we can do without having to get up. So, for example, in 2019, if Pascal and I wanted to do training for our team, we would need to get into a car, drive to the airport, get into an airplane, come all the way to Kenya. Today, we simply move from the other room, come here, sit down, and we can do the training. And you can see that that is a lot less movement than we had to do before. And more, it's becoming like that we can manage a lot without actually getting up. That should act as a caution for us that even though we can do a lot without getting up, our bodies evolved to move. We are supposed to be moving for most of the day. The way that our ancestors evolved was moving around the whole day, hunting or looking for fruits and berries and roots to eat. That is the way we evolved. And we have not outgrown our evolution. Our bodies still have those same needs to move about for large parts of the day in order to remain healthy, especially when we speak about our joints. And many aspects of our health also require that we move. So some of the benefits of moving to our joints, number one is that if we do some gentle exercise, not vigorous, but gentle exercise after a meal, usually after we eat, we want to sit and relax and maybe chat and so on, but it is good not to sit for long after eating. It's good to eat early enough. Let us say the last meal of the day should not be so late that we eat and then we get into bed, because that means that what we have eaten is mainly going to be converted into fat. So eating and allowing time for us to move about means that we use up some of the food that we have eaten and don't lay it down into fat. And of course, it helps our digestion, and we feel also less lethargic if we don't allow ourselves to eat and then fall asleep or something like that. So that is one of the benefits of moving. Gentle exercise after meals is beneficial. And then movement also helps in the health of our joints, because when we are moving, we have circulation going through our joints, and that circulation takes away the waste material from our joints and brings in the food and refreshing nutrients to our joints to keep them healthy. So even if you have, let's say, a problem with a certain joint, the solution is not to avoid moving it. The solution is to move it more gently. So for example, if you have backache, the solution is not to have bed rest. In fact, they say that if you have a joint problem, the solution is not bed rest, because if you're having bed rest, then it means that nothing is circulating in your joints, and that means that the body will struggle to heal that whatever problem it is with that joint. So movement is what improves circulation in joints, and that keeps the joints flexible, healthy, and keeps them in good repair. And then the third thing is that movement improves our metabolism and helps us to keep our weight down. Because if you think about it, our feet, our knees, and our hips carry the rest of our body. So if you think about how small our feet are, if when I was a girl, my weight was around, let's say, 50 kilos, and 20, 30 years later, my weight doubles, or maybe I reach 80, 90 kilograms. It is still the same skeleton. In fact, it's a tired skeleton that is carrying a lot of weight. And that means that there is going to be damage because those joints are not built to carry so much weight. So anything that helps us to manage our weight helps our joints, because it prevents our joints from being overburdened. And one of the things that we find helps in weight management is movement. So when we move, it's not that it is going to help us to lose weight, but it is definitely going to help us to maintain a better weight. So any weight loss plan that we can have should include an increase in the amount of movement that we do. So we can't just say, I'm going to be on this diet, but I'm not going to exercise. Because remember, we don't only want to lose weight, we also want to maintain the healthy weight that we achieve. And one of the ways of maintaining the healthy weight is by incorporating movement and exercise in our lives. So then turning my attention to our Neolife supplements that can help us in joint health, I'll speak generally and then I'll go to a few particulars from the questions that I received. So the first product that I will speak about is the Neolife Shake or the Nutri-Shake, depending on what you have in your market. These ones are the protein preparations, and we know that proteins, amino acids are the building blocks of our tissues. So this plays a part in helping the body to have the proteins that it requires to rebuild and maintain our joints in a good state. So the first is that one. The next one is omega-3 salmon oil, which helps to counteract inflammation, that is the swelling and painfulness that comes to joints when they are damaged or when they are undergoing a lot of stress. Omega-3 salmon oil plays a very important role in that. And then the other one is multimineral as well as CalMag. We have multimineral which already contains CalMag. And we are excited because in Southern Africa, we already have a magnesium supplement, magnesium standing alone as a supplement. And multimineral, CalMag, all of them play an important role in providing the body with the minerals that it requires to maintain strong bones and healthy joints. Then we also have Full Motion, which is a supplement that is created specifically for helping to maintain joints by making sure that we can repair and rebuild our cartilage. We'll see one of the most common joint problems is related to the wearing out of the cartilage. I think we know that the cartilage is that slippery material that is usually wrapped around the ends of bones. When you're eating a chicken bone, you know that white thing at the ends of the drumstick. That is what we call the cartilage. And when it wears out, it's one of the things that causes the joint to deteriorate. Then the fifth product here is vitamin B complex, which facilitates energy production and also helps to maintain joint health by ensuring that the blood that is, because the blood is made inside the bones, and vitamin B plays an important role in the making of blood. And so those 5 products form the backbone of our joint health. And now I think I can go to some of the specific problems, common problems that we may have with joints, and also related to the questions that I got this week. The first one is called osteoarthritis, or the common arthritis that we know that is quite common with older people. And this is caused by the wearing down of the cartilage, as I mentioned before. It tends to happen as we age, that our cartilage out of use wears out, especially if we have had an injury and so there is an imbalance in the skeleton. We can find that a joint that is affected by that imbalance can start wearing out, and it becomes progressively more painful and harder to use and less flexible. So another thing is repetitive movement on a joint, which we do very often. So for example, if I'm a tennis player, I'll be swinging the tennis racket over and over again as I play. And that is a lot of stress on just one joint, and it's just one kind of movement. So this is another place where giving a variety of movements to the joint keeps it flexible and in good health, rather than just focusing on, let's say, if I'm a person who types, I should do other things that help the joints to have other movements. So we don't do the same movement over and over and over again, because that ends in the wearing out of certain parts of the joint and leads to this osteoarthritis. On the side of Neolife, if someone is suffering of osteoarthritis, it's good for us to tell them about the importance of maintaining general joint health. And we also ask them to supplement with Full Motion, which helps to repair cartilage. We also recommend omega-3 salmon oil. If their budget allows them, then Pro Vitality is an even better choice. So if they can buy Pro Vitality, is good. If it is a bit high for them, then at least omega-3 salmon oil. And CalMag. For younger people, also multimineral would be good, or even older people. So multimineral, because multimineral already contains calcium and magnesium and other minerals as well. So those are the products that we can recommend for osteoarthritis, and also recommend to the sufferer that they should not stop moving. They should try to keep the joint moving so that it can be repaired during the movement. As we've said, the joint repairs itself when it's moving, because that is when the fluids that bring in nutrients and take away byproducts is circulated within it. Then the next problem that we have is the second type of arthritis. The first one is the osteoarthritis. The second one is rheumatoid arthritis, which is an autoimmune condition. I think I'm always talking to you about autoimmune conditions, which we, by now, I'm sure, maybe for the people who have been attending training frequently, you know that it is when our immune system starts attacking us, thinking that we are, the body starts mistaking its own cells as foreign cells. And by doing so causes inflammation or swelling and pain in the joint. So rheumatoid arthritis is an autoimmune condition. And always we say that if there's an autoimmune condition, the first place we look at is the diet. And if the diet has got harmful things that is irritating the gut, because that reaction, that irritation in the gut is going to manifest itself in many different ways, of which rheumatoid arthritis could be one of them. And it leads the joints, especially it's usually the fingers, the arms and the knees, progressively becoming swollen and being less and less flexible. And the condition is quite painful, which is quite unfortunate. And we would recommend for them to identify the triggers that cause the rheumatoid arthritis attack to flare up so that they avoid those triggers, but also to use full motion, Pro-Vitality, multimineral, which we said already for arthritis, but it's the same for rheumatoid arthritis. But with rheumatoid arthritis, where possible, we would add acidophilus to deal with the gut problem that could be causing the autoimmune that is at the base of the rheumatoid arthritis. So full motion, Pro-Vitality, multimineral, and acidophilus where possible. I know that in the Kenya market and maybe in the whole of East Africa, we do not have acidophilus. I hope that this year we are going to be successful in registering it so that it can be supplied there. But what I've been recommending is that we recommend instead fiber tablets and also increasing fiber in the diet, because the friendly bacteria, which is in acidophilus and the other kinds of friendly bacteria, they thrive when we've got a natural diet with plenty of fiber. They feed on fiber, and the harmful ones feed on sugar. So if you've got these kinds of autoimmune problems, sugar is not your friend. Fiber and natural and processed foods are your best friends. Then the other condition and question that I got was about gout. Gout is also another common condition that affects joints, and it's often called the rich man's disease because it tends to be in the more well-to-do people who eat plenty of meat and foods that cause these gout attacks. And so if a person is suffering from gout, we recommend for them flavonoid complex, cruciferous plus, multimineral, as well as omega-3 salmon oil. And we recommend that they avoid the trigger foods and they increase the amount of fresh vegetables in their diet, because this, again, will help, because the flavonoid and the cruciferous are going to give a supplement, but they should also add these foods in their diet, especially the fresh vegetables, to counteract the products in their food that is bringing about the gout attacks. Then the next one, I see my time is running out. I think I've got time for one more, osteoporosis. Osteoporosis is a progressive thinning down of bones as we grow older and can lead to bones becoming brittle, and they can crack easily if, let's say, we fall down. Fortunately for us of African origin, tend to have very dense bones, so osteoporosis might not be a common thing, but it does occur. And especially for us ladies, as we pass menopause, we start losing some of the density in our bones. And for that reason, our bones can become less strong than they were before. If we add on to that childbearing and breastfeeding, all these take minerals out of our joints into the baby's milk. And for that reason, it is good for us to take care of our bones and as well as our joints. And if someone wants to do this, as I said, older ladies, it's important to keep this in mind that we could be losing minerals, and we supplement therefore with multimineral, vitamin A plus D, and zinc. So also, of course, the less we do, the less we move, the more our bones become less dense. And of course, if we put on weight, it means that the weight is putting a lot of burden on our skeleton, which only makes the problem worse. So on the lifestyle side, it's good to incorporate plenty of, I always say, instead of sending our children to go and get this or to send the maid to go and do something, if we are at home, to try and be active so that our activity level is always increased. For example, like right now when you're listening to me, maybe you are busy doing something around your house. If you're not busy and you're listening to me sitting down, this would be a good moment for someone to drop down and do a few press-ups, or to do the stand and sit exercise where you sit and stand and sit and stand. Or you can walk around just marching around your sitting room, or you can pick up your child and lift them high and bring them down. This is a way of lifting weights. All these small things can enhance our skeletons and help us to move. So I think that finally I can just quickly mention backache, which I already mentioned before, tends to be a common problem as we grow older. And as I said, it's very much linked to sitting for long periods, which is something that we should try to reduce as much as we can. If we are having a meeting and it's possible for us to have the meeting standing up, we can do that. Let's say we are having a short meeting somewhere. If we can stand, it would be useful rather than sitting for prolonged periods. If we want to go for lunch, maybe it would be good to go for a walk and maybe have, if we have a packed lunch, we can go and have it somewhere, or walk for a little bit and then come back if we know that we won't have other chances. So just to encourage you to keep on moving and to incorporate movement in your everyday life, because our bodies are very precious. They were given to us as gifts. And just because we got them for free does not mean that we should not take care of them or we should take them for granted. They were given to us for free to use, but in order for them to be useful to us for the length of our life, we should also give good care to them so that we thrive and we are able to work and play and support and enhance the lives of all the people whose lives we touch. So I think I'm going to stop there. I hope that there were points that were beneficial for you. For the new people who have joined us, maybe for the first time or for the first few times in these past weeks, I want to encourage you to enjoy joining us for training. If you have questions, you can get our contacts and ask them, and we'll supply you with any answers as well as we can. And just to wish you all the best in the month of March. And let's take care of those joints so that we can race and sprint and reach our goals for March. And now let me hand you over to Pascal, who is here beside me and very ready to do his sessions. All the best. And I see he's also trying to do the exercises. Let me give him some space. All right. Good night, everyone.
Yeah, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for attending this training with us. As Betty has said, those exercises are very important. I think there was a time I was used to jog and had serious aches on my back, but when I started doing the squats, some of the pain went away, and it's been a good time. So what I'd like to share with you this evening are two things. that are very critical in the building of our business. One is how to present the business idea, and secondly is how to develop the right attitude to become successful. So if you will permit me, I would like to share the screen with you. Just one moment. Okay. So what I'd like to share with you are two aspects that I think are very, very critical of our business. One of them is how to present this idea. You see, what makes our business grow? What makes our business grow is very simple. It's getting many people doing a few simple things over an extended period of time. That means that you need to get as many people as possible using the products that accumulates as you grow your business. All right? So I just want to recap a few things. What is the essence of our business? The essence of our business is to move products from Neolife to different customers, either yourself as a distributor or your customers. That is what we do in our business. How do we do this? We do this by first using the products ourselves. Number two, retailing products to people who are not in the business. Number three, building a team. Building a team simply means you share this idea with other people. When they become distributors, they become part of your team. That is what in essence our business is. So the larger your team, the more products they move and the more income you earn. Remember, Neolife pays you when you move products from the company to different customers. And to be able to move a lot of products, you need a lot of people. But how do you get people to join the business? Today, we discussed inviting in the previous sessions. Today, I want to talk about presenting the business and then developing the right attitude to become successful in the business. A few things I would like to note in presenting the business. And this is very, very key to becoming successful in the business. When I had this for the first time, it took me quite a while to understand the implication of this concept. It doesn't matter what works, it matters what duplicates. What does that mean? It means that you may be very, very good at explaining the business idea to new prospects, but if you are doing does not duplicate, if the people in your team cannot copy or duplicate what you are doing, that will slow down your business. So remember, it doesn't matter what works, it matters what duplicates. The key to our success in this business is duplication. Duplication simply means that people do what you do, they copy what you copy. And in natural life, families are like that. You will find that children always copy what the parents do. And most of it is unconscious copying. So you'll find that there's some days that people would call our house and one of our sons pick up the phone and then they start telling our sons something to do with my business. Then they say, no, I'm not Pascal, I'm his son. So duplication is a key to our business. Secondly, is enthusiasm. You see, enthusiasm is something that comes from within. Excitement is an expression of enthusiasm in your heart. Enthusiasm comes from the word entheo, which means God within. If you want to be successful in this business, you need to be enthusiastic about the business. You need to be enthusiastic about life. Because people get attracted to people who are enthusiastic about their life. The third thing is to develop belief and faith. Why is that important? Because if you're not convicted or convinced about this business, you will not convince anyone. And that comes from believing first in yourself, 2 in the company, 3 in your sponsor, and 4 that you can actually succeed in this business. You know, when you show this business to new people, a few thoughts go through their mind, but they don't voice it. They give you an indication of those questions by the questions they ask or the reluctance they have. One of them is, can I be successful? Secondly, are you going to be there to support me? Thirdly, can this thing work for me? Those are questions that go through the minds of a prospect. So in your presentation, you need to present it in such a way that these questions are answered. For example, telling your prospect, when you start the business, I'm going to be right by your side. Although this is your business, but you're not in the business by yourself. We will support you, we will train you, we will help you to become successful. All right? The other question is, can I succeed? Yes, by telling your own story of how you've made some level of success in the business. And then the other thing is, you need to learn to invite your prospects to meetings, to a video to watch, to read a magazine. These are called third-party tools. Why are third-party tools important? Because third-party tools have been done professionally so that the tools speak on your behalf. So that even if you're a new person and you don't know how to explain this business very well, you can tell your prospect, look, I've just started the business. There's somebody more experienced who are going to present the business idea. This is a Zoom link. Attend the meeting on Monday or whatever day you have chosen. Okay, so it's important always to use third-party tools, use the systems we have in our business to grow your business. Three very most important things to remember about presenting the business. Number one, you are the messenger, not the message. What does that mean? That you can use third-party tools to tell the story of the business. Okay? When I was reading and thinking about this presentation today, of this training, and it occurred to me that when you try to show your prospects how well you know the business, the question that goes through their mind is this: can I do what Pascal is doing? Can I do what Betty is doing? Can I do what Pierrot and Josephat are doing? Can I do what Kissinger is doing? You see, they ask themselves that questions. And if you want your people to succeed, your prospects to actually join the business, is always refer them to the training. Start the business, but join our training, you learn how the business is built. In other words, I'm saying, do not appear as an expert to your prospects. You need to appear to your prospects as somebody who is guiding them to look at the business. They don't have to be very good at explaining, but they have to be good at telling their story. And that leads me to the second thing to remember. Learn to tell your story in a compelling way that makes your prospects want to hear more. Why is that important? You will connect with your prospects at two levels. One is through their mind, intellectually. Two is through their heart. When the business gets from their mind to their heart, they're going to succeed in the business, because a lot of people make the decisions to join the business depending on how they feel. Okay? So remember to learn to tell your story. The third thing is to learn how to present the New Life presentation. The key thing is practice. Practice and prepare as if your life depends on it. And in fact, it does. I remember when we started the business, when I understood the concept, I was completely consumed by what the business could do. So I used to practice at home. I used to practice in the bathroom. I used to practice in the office while going to work. Every time I would get a few minutes, I would practice how to present this business. And within 2 months, I became quite proficient in explaining the business. So learn how to present the business idea, and this will lead to your success. Now, these are the basic elements of doing a business. BOP simply means business opportunity presentation. These are standardized ways for presenting the business. And if you're a guest, if you're a distributor, speak to your sponsor. We need to follow the same guidelines for doing the presentation. You see, I've been doing the presentation on Zoom since April last year, and I used exactly the same presentation. I may change a few things in it, but I always use the same presentation. Why am I doing that? is so that somebody else can copy what we do. That is the key to duplication. Duplication simply means you do exactly the same thing that other people are doing. Okay? And the business opportunity presentation is divided into 4 parts. The first part is called the ID, that is tell your story. The second part is develop the need and the new life experience. And what is a new life difference? High quality products which are consumable, the longevity of our business. We've been in the business for 50 years, or 63 years this year. We have very experienced field leaders who have done this. Jerry Brasfield is 80 and he started the business at the age of 19. It's a long time. So he's got incredible experience. Charlie Bolton has been in the business for 47 years. People who've had tremendous amount of experience. So you need to mention this in the presentation. Then worldwide infrastructure. The company has put infrastructure in 50 different countries around the world. The compensation plan, the support that they have when they start the business, the research, the back office, the training, the wealth building process. Job is not the answer. You see, the prospect need to be able to conclude that actually need this business. When they come to that conclusion, then they're likely to start the business. All right? That this is a viable business that they can actually start and become successful. The third part of the business opportunity presentation is the logic. What is that? It means explaining how the business works. You will notice that all the presentation has 3 aspects. 1 is using the products, 2 is sharing the business and the products, and 3, personal development. All the presentations have this component, the logic. The logic simply means a prospect needs to understand how the business is built and how they make money. And the last part is called call to action. Call to action simply means once the business presentation has been done, you need to encourage the prospects to make a decision and start the business. That is how the business opportunity presentation is done. If you're a distributor, speak to your upline leader, they'll give you the format. The key thing is you need to practice how to do the presentation yourself, okay? Let me get to your ID, the first part of explaining the business. The ID simply means you need to tell your story to connect with your audience or your prospects. It is divided into 4 parts. 1, explain how your life was before Neo Life. 2, how and why you joined the business. 3, what has been your benefit since joining the business? And 4, how does the future look like with Neo Life? And to add a little details in your ID, because you're telling your own story, it may be different from mine. Details of the journey, the dates, the places, the feelings, the achievements. These are very important to connect with your prospect. And then a very key thing is the ethics in your personhood. You see, I think most people, when they hear your story or they listen to you just for a few minutes, they'd be able to conclude whether they can trust you or not. And that's very key. You need to lead a life of integrity. Then does the story make sense? You see, if people listen to your story and they detect that something doesn't add up, they switch off. That is why it's very important to tell your story. I will, having done that, for example, when I tell my story in this format. When I was growing up, my father used to tell me that I need to study very hard, get a good education. So I went to University of Nairobi, did a course in civil engineering, got married. Betty and I moved to South Africa for a very simple reason, to look for a better life. But when we came here, Betty could not get a job. And one of our children has got sickle cell. And because of that, it was very hard for her to make a decision whether to look for a job or to stay at home, because once you get employed and you have a sick child, every 2 months, every month, you have to take leave. And most employers are not excited about that. So in that process, as we started, our family was also expanding, our family was getting bigger. It means the cost of living was getting higher and our expenses, but my salary as an engineer was not keeping up with the cost. That's when we decided to do something. And luckily, Betty looked for a job in the schools in Pretoria she couldn't find. And I remember her saying that I've looked for a job long enough, let the job come and find me. And 2 weeks later, a friend of ours called her and asked her if she'd like to start a business. And that's how we got involved in the business. Initially, we thought that if you made $200 a month, that was sufficient. But after 7 months, our income was $1,000. And when that happened, I became obsessed with the business. I decided to put more effort in the business. I kept building it. After 3 years, the income from the business was 3 times my salary, and I fired my boss. And I cannot begin to explain to you the freedom we felt when you don't have to fill a leave form to travel. When we can take time when our child is sick that we'll be able to take to the hospital and not get a phone call from a boss who is shouting. And the business has been very good too. Apart from the income, our health has really, really been very good. Felix still suffers from sickle cell, but the products enabled him to go through university, finish, do a postgraduate course. Now he works with Absa Bank. So the business has done very good for us. How does the future look like? In fact, the future is so bright, you need sunglasses to be able to see. We see ourselves helping more people in the African continent become very successful. And that is my story. That is the story. That is the way I would present my story if I was a distributor. Talking about attitude, you see, what you allow to enter your mind will determine how far you can go. When you're careless about what gets into your mind, you listen to news, you listen to negative friends, you're always thinking about the challenges you are going through. Don't look at what you're going through. Look at where you're going to, and that makes a big difference. Looking at what you're going to means you're looking at your dreams. People who are careless about their minds do not think about their dreams, their past successes, income-producing activity, affirmations. But if you want to succeed, you need to master your mind. Tone down the news that you listen to. Stop reading newspapers. You might say, but I need to know what's going around the world. I promise you, if something is happening that requires attention, somebody will tell you about it. So don't worry about not attending to news. Okay? I remember the other day, our president in South Africa, Cyril Ramaphosa, announced that the country was going to level 1 lockdown. I didn't even know. When Betty and I went to mass in the morning, is when you had the priest talking about it. So if something is happening around you, something will let you know, somebody will let you know about it. But if you want to master your mind and build a positive attitude, you need to concentrate on your dreams. You need to concentrate on your past successes, rehash them, think about them, concentrate on income-producing activities and affirmations. Affirmations are positive statements you make about how you want your life to be. How do you build the right attitude? Remember, an attitude is a way of thinking. You can say a cup is half full or half empty. All right? You can look at a donut or you can look at the hole in the donut. You see, it just depends on how you look at it. I remember a story very well where a salesperson was sent to a country. He's a shoe salesperson. When he went to that country, he saw that nobody wore shoes. So he called back his head of it and says, there is no market here. Nobody here wears shoes. So he flew back. But they sent another salesperson to the same country and says, he looked at the people, there was nobody with shoes, and he said, we've got the biggest market ever. Nobody here has worn a pair of shoes, and we were the first person to sell shoes. The same situation, but two people reacting very differently from the same situation. That is what we mean by a positive attitude. A positive attitude is looking at the way things can be done rather than looking at things the way they cannot be done. So it's a way of thinking. But what influences your attitude? A number of things. One is the people around you. You need to be very careful about the people that you walk around with. I was telling a friend of mine today that when you get home, Those of you, if you're listening to this presentation, your distributors, guests, get home today, write the names of the 5 people you spend most of your time with. Find out how much they earn and find the average of those 5. You will find that it is very close to what you earn. What am I saying? I'm saying you can never out-earn the people you spend your time with. If you want to earn more, look for friends who are earning much more than you. They're going to teach you something that you don't know to become successful. So be very careful about the people you walk around with. Number 2, the books you read. Read positive books. Think and Grow Rich, How to Win Friends and Influence People, the Becoming a Network Marketing Pro by Eric Worre. Read books that build you up. 15 minutes every day. That doesn't look like a lot, but if you read 15 minutes every day, in a year's time, you'll have read at least 15 books. Okay? And that makes a difference. Listen to CDs and tapes that are positive. Some very successful people, Les Brown, Jim Rohn, Lisa Nichols. These are people who have really become successful, and they share their nuggets with you to become successful. And then be careful about your self-talk. Be careful about what you say to yourself when you talk to yourself. Because I promise you, what you confess with your tongue will become a reality. What you confess, you will possess. I was reading a psychology book that says that it takes 11 to 15 positive inputs to overcome one negative comment. That is why you need to be very careful about the kind of people you allow to be beside you. And the last thing is, if you really want to have a fantastic attitude, you need very big goals. You need big goals that sometimes frighten you, dreams that inspire you to be a better person, dreams that inspire you when people say no to the business, dreams that inspire you that you are willing to read books, you're willing to persevere until your dreams become true. If you have these things, nothing will stop you from having a positive attitude, and this will guarantee your success. So, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to end there. Thank you so much for giving me your ear and your attention. I know God gave us 2 ears and 2 eyes and only 1 mouth, but this afternoon I had the privilege of speaking with you to share with you what I think will help you become very successful in this business. So, Paul, back to you.
Thank you so much, Pascal and Betty, for coming through and sharing today with us. It was a very informative session. I was actually taking my notes, and I believe every distributor who is on the call today, you are also taking your notes. And it is quite relevant because I was just looking at telling your story, and I remember this is what we were sharing last week with the new distributors orientation, and this confirms how important it is to be able to know how to share your story as a distributor. And I think it's something that we all need to work on, because that is the door to our business. So it was informative, and we want to thank you, Pascal, for taking time to be able to be with us tonight. So thank you so much, and God bless you. So just to remind the distributors, tomorrow, same time, we have our Swahili opportunity presentation. So make sure you invite your guests. We'll be having some good speakers speaking to us tomorrow. And also, I just want to remind you, the Botanical Balance incentive is going on. A lot of people have been able to take advantage in the month of February. It's also going on in the month of March. So let's look at the flyer. If you did not use it, make sure you read and understand, and just go out and use it, because this is the last month that we are giving that incentive. So the other events are for next week. We have our English opportunity meeting for guests. So if you're a new distributor, on Monday you can bring in your guest, and on Thursday we are going to do a big recognition for East Africa for the month of February, and that is something you do not want to miss, because we have a lot of exciting things happening across East Africa. So we are looking forward for that. So from me, Pascal and Betty, I want to thank you for joining us tonight, wishing you all the best in the month of March, and have a fantastic night, and see you soon. Good night, everyone. Bye-bye. Thank you,
Good night,
Pascal.
everybody. Bye-bye.
Good night.